Following a car crash, there are a number of things that can derail your case. One little mistake could cost you thousands, if not millions of dollars. I'm attorney Phil Snyder. I've handled thousands of cases. I'm going to share with you the top 5 mistakes to avoid to potentially kill your case before it even starts. Number 1, you do not call the police. Let me give you a very common fact pattern. Client gets into a crash. They get rear-ended by a 19-year-old girl. The girl's crying, "Please don't call my parents." You're like, okay, I'm not going to call your parents. I'm not going to call the police. Just let me take pictures of your license, your registration, the car. I'll get estimates. We'll go from there. A couple days later, you come back with estimates, and you're like, you know what? My neck is hurting. My back is hurting. You call up the girl's parents, and guess what they say? You're responsible for the crash. You're at fault. My daughter's hurt. I'm coming after you. What? How is that possible? Well, it's possible because the police didn't come to memorialize the crash. Now she can say whatever she wants. She could lie and say you hit her. And guess what? Now you have a liability dispute. By simply being a nice guy and not calling the police, you open the door to allow someone else to lie about what actually occurred. And when you file a claim, their insurance company is going to say, our client says that you're at fault. One little mistake of not calling the police, trying to be a nice guy, could cost you thousands, if not millions of dollars, when liability is now in dispute on a crash that was clearly not your fault. Number 2, you tell the insurance adjuster that you were not injured. The day after the crash, you get a call from Progressive. Hey, Progressive, what's going on? Yes, I need you to fix my car. And they ask you, hey, are you hurt? And they do it very innocuously, kind of casually. Are you hurt? You're like, not really. Well, the next day you realize, you know what, my neck hurts a little bit. My back hurts a little bit. You call an attorney, they start to represent you, you treat for a year, you get all this treatment, and you're still not better. Your attorney writes a demand, and the offer from Progressive is garbage. Your attorney says, what happened? Progressive says, well, the day after the crash, your client said they weren't hurt. What? What are you doing? Okay, 24 hours after a crash, you don't know if you're really hurt. And you're not prepared to answer that question because you're worried about your car. They innocuously say, hey, are you hurt? And you get stuck. And you say something that you shouldn't say. And now Progressive is claiming, why should we pay you money? You said you weren't hurt until you hired an attorney. And we know this isn't true. You really are hurt from the crash. But you made a mistake, and that could have been avoided. Following a crash, speak to an experienced personal injury attorney. They will tell you to never, ever, ever, ever speak with the insurance adjuster without first speaking to someone like me. That simple mistake of answering a question quite innocuously could cost you thousands, if not millions of dollars, when now Progressive is claiming you were not hurt directly as a result from this crash. Number 3, you don't treat within the first 14 days. Well, why is that 14-day number so important? It is because you have certain benefits called PIP benefits that allow you to receive $10,000 in medical care, but you have to treat within the first 14 days. So let me tell you what happens. You get into a crash on a Thursday. Friday, you take it easy. The weekend, you take it easy. Monday, you go back to work. You're like, you know what? Something's not right. My neck hurts. Take some Advil. Tuesday comes, Wednesday comes. You finally make an appointment with your primary. She says, come in next week. So by the time you come in to see her, it's the 15th day, and she says, whoa, something's going on with you. Let's schedule you for x-rays. Let's get you to a chiropractor or an orthopedic surgeon. But now you're on the 15th day. Those benefits, those $10,000 in PIP benefits, bye-bye. They're gone because you didn't realize that you were on a time restriction. If you would have saw an urgent care doctor within the first 14 days or a chiropractor within the first 14 days, that stops the clock. And I would have told you that, or another experienced personal injury attorney would have told you that you have a deadline. So by not calling an attorney and by not treating within the first 14 days, you potentially really hurt your case. Also, the defense is going to say, well, what are you doing? You didn't treat within the first 14 days. You must not have been hurt from the crash. And we know this isn't true. That simple mistake of not calling an attorney to explain your rights could cost you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, when the defense now claims if you would have been really hurt from this crash, you would have treated sooner. In the future, always call an experienced personal injury attorney to advise on this right. It's an easy mistake that could have been avoided just by picking up the phone. Number 4, you see a doctor that has an aversion to personal injury cases. Well, what does that mean, an aversion? Well, they don't like you. They don't like personal injury victims. Well, how can that be? Here's how. Let's say you see Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith is an amazing orthopedic surgeon. The problem is Dr. Smith also works for Progressive or Allstate or State Farm. He is a shill for them. He does their compulsory medical examination reports. That's when, in personal injury cases, a plaintiff comes to see a defense doctor who's supposed to be unbiased, but we know that they're biased, and they write tens, if not 20, reports a month claiming that personal injury victims, just like you, are not injured from the crash. They say that causation occurred somewhere else. That's what they're paid to do. So when you come in to see them, do you think that they're going to write a favorable report for you or an unfavorable report for you? Of course, unfavorable, because that's what they're trained to do. So even though he may be an amazing doctor, he's got to screw you in your case. How would you have known that? You wouldn't, because you're not a personal injury attorney who deals with this all day, every day. So in the future, before you see any doctor, get a free consultation from a personal injury attorney just like me that would say, hey, Dr. Smith is a great doctor, but he works for a blah, blah, blah orthopedic center, and they get paid millions of dollars a year by the defense. Do you really want to have this doctor be your advocate for your case? And the answer is no. That simple mistake could cost you thousands, if not millions of dollars, when that doctor writes a report that's unfavorable to you, which is not fair, because the causation of your injuries occurred from this crash. But that's not what he's going to write in the report, because he's biased and trained not to. Number 5, you sign a release. Following the crash, you call Progressive. Hey, Progressive, I got into a crash. And they say, oh, okay, well, we'll fix your car and we'll pay your medical bills. And you know what? We'll also give you $1,000. How does that sound? This is the day following the crash. You're like, great, $1,000, I'll take it. And you, boop, boop, you push a button on DocuSign, $1,000 goes into your account. Well, a couple days later, you're like, you know, my neck really does hurt. You start to see a doctor. A couple weeks after, you're like, I'm not getting better. And you call someone like me, and I say, did you sign a release? And you say, yeah, I signed the release. Got $1,000. What's a release? I say, well, a release waives all your rights. You've, in essence, settled your case. And you never consulted with someone like me, because I would have told you never, ever, ever, ever do that. Because 2 days after a crash, 3 days after a crash, you don't know the value of your case. You don't know the significance of your injuries. But now you waived all your rights. And that mistake could cost you a lot of money. I had a client a few years ago call me right before he was about to push that button. And he said, hey, before I accept this, am I doing the right thing? And I say, absolutely do not sign it. 2 years later, we got $460,000 for that client. He would have pushed that button, he would have been out hundreds of thousands of dollars. So my advice is never, ever, ever, ever sign a release without first speaking to an experienced personal injury attorney, because that mistake, pushing that button, could cost you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, as you don't know the significance of your injuries or the value of your case.